Okay, gang, back with you here on Monday the 8th. And next up through the polling, as you guys saw, was Bitcoin Cash. Now, we haven't looked at this in a while. It's just like pretty much all of crypto, right? We're trying to identify whether or not we've got a good low down here. And I can get us here. Just like as I said earlier with Ethereum Classic, probably 10 different ways to count this. And I'm not here to suggest that my count is the right count. It is a count that can get us down here to a low. So I have us just, partly it's just trying to simplify here. There's an impulse, there's a diagonal into a 5 here, into a B here, and then I've got us coming down into a C, and then just like, I've shown this before, just like Bitcoin, we've got a nice algo pull here that gets, so here you go, right? So here's the 50, and it's a couple of ticks off of the target here, likely a front run on that target. So we can identify what happened there. So the Elliott count can get us down there. I can get to a low here. I finish with a 5 off of that low. So do we have enough of a start here with this as our low to suggest that downtrend is over? Well, that remains to be seen, of course. But there's a count here that works. Now there's a couple of tricky spots here where you've got to make a judgment call, and I don't know that we can really come up with a conclusive analysis here because, well, here I'll show you. So if this is our candidate down here for our crypto winter low, this being our 5, well, you got to dig an impulse out of there. Yeah, I'm on a 4-hour here on Kraken. I can get 5 up. I can get a diagonal into the A, B, C into the B, and I can finish down here. So I've got a good candidate for my 2. Right, goes deep, goes to the 786, not crazy for a 2. Now coming off of it, what am I on a 4-hour? Let me go to a 2-hour here. Now coming off of this gets a little tricky here because there's no clear way to know what we've got. So off of this low, I can get 5 into this first pivot, right? And so we don't overlap here. So it's decent here. It's a little odd shape in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I can get my first 1 off of this low. So I get an impulse off of the low. A, B, just like crypto, Bitcoin, most of them, that was kind of a shaky 2 in that the subdivision is not great going in if there's an A, B, C there. Now here's where it gets difficult, because coming off of this low, I can get an impulse here. Let me zoom in on that a little bit. So here's what's making this count a little tricky. So let me zoom that up a little bit. Now God, I hate that. Where's the 3? Right, where is the 3? So if this is 1, 2. Well, of course, we're going to try and qualify it and say, well, shit, is it even long enough to be a 3? Well, herein lies the rub. So if I get over here to my absolute low here, I'm even going to put I find this thing kind of a pain in the ass, but there are times when it's helpful. Shut up. Okay, so I'm going to go, it's so jumpy. 1, 2, let's get on that 3. All right, so here's the question mark. So from this as the 1, 2, I can definitely, I've got an impulse in the 3. It's a little bit of a push here on the 5, but there's a little 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it breaks by, what are we at there? By a penny. We get to 7. I mean, it's maybe 1 or 2 cents that it breaks. So this. From the swing low here to the 2, to the 1, 2, I've got a candidate here for my 3. Now let me take this magnet thing off here. This gets to be annoying. Okay. Could that be my 3rd? Well, yeah, it sure could. That can be the 3, right? So I've got an impulse here. So you're going to have to allow for one very tiny little 4. So I don't love that, right? So the symmetry just doesn't look great here. Compare this 2 to that 4. Now, yeah, rule of alternation, I'm with you. But that just seems so small that I think this is more probably that this is our 1. But so you've got a problem either way here. So in problem, maybe the wrong word. It's just you've got an anomaly here. So if this is a completed 5 into the 1, 2 of the 3rd, well, then that's one hell of a shallow, short 2 wave. So what there's, I'm trying to find it, look for an alternate here. I just don't see one. So you've either got a very shallow 2 or a very short shallow 4. I'm trying to think if there's another way to do it here. So look at it this way. If this is 1, 2, and we've gone, I don't like it either way, right? So this, you want to call that some sort of an impulse here. So yeah, you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's either a very shallow 2 or a very shallow 1, and it's going to be very hard to know what we've got here until we see how this resolves. Because this, of course, you want to give that a 3, right? It's very impulsive. And it looks like we're in the process of correcting this move. So that could be the A, B, and we're going into the C here. So something like that is not out of bounds of what you might anticipate here if we're correcting. So the whether we're correcting just the push off of this move here, right? So it affects what you're looking for. So if this is 1, 2, and we're just going to call this 3, well then we'd be looking from this being our 2. If that's the 3. Well, given, right, and much like all of crypto, right, I mentioned this on the Ethereum Classic video here, you have no market acceptance here because this all went so fast. So you've got nothing to really lean into here for potential support until you get to this wave 1. Right, then you've got a little structure here that might come into play. Well, here's where all the acceptance is. So if it's 1, 2, if that's 3. So, again, these are just... you're not going to know, all right? We don't know, but we can just use our tools here to try and kind of zero in on it. So here we're a little shy. So we're looking for the third here between the 1618 and 175. Comes up a little shy, but I think I know why. So, oh shit, come here. Oh, let's come back. Okay, so there it is. Okay, so if this is, so we don't make the 1618. So you get, of course, first question is why? Why do we stop there? So just basic stuff, guys. Just grabbing that. So it looks to me like we run into the 50. So an algorithm kicks in here, and that's likely a slight front run on the 50. Now they're going to stay short until they get to that target here, or they get stopped out on the 65 here. Right, but dominant, obvious, right? Dominant swing. We run into the 50. That it would appear that's what keeps us from getting to the 1618, right? It's just, you never know. It's an educated guess. So but we can make a case for that. So if this is 1, 2, and I do indeed have the 3 here, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, very skinny 4, which I don't love. But I think this plays better as our 3. Now you got to. How do you know? Well, you're not going to know until you see the reaction here. So let me pull this off. So, of course, one thought is you just let it come down here, wait and see, right? Do we get a little reaction? And then on a smaller degree, you can take the little retracement there. And then because we're looking for something along these lines to get us up to a 5, right? Potentially, we get our 5 here. This would put the 4 down here. Right, so either way, the length of time here is a bit problematic. So it skews the symmetry. So I'm trying to be balanced here in my approach here as people are giving me shit for being too bullish. So how would that result? So again, this is much like I'm finding across all of crypto. What would we be correcting there? Okay, so if I'm going to get a 5-wave structure, what am I correcting? See, bears, I just don't see it, right? So, no, again, I'm not saying I'm right. I don't see your perspective. I don't see how this is what we are correcting. This? Well, then you got to kind of back through the count here. So this ABC looks pretty solid here. The 5 down pretty solid. So what is the bear thinking? ABC and the top is in? So this would have to be the 3. This is the 4. Here's 0. Where are you going? I don't see it, guys. Right. So I'm trying to be balanced and not just an uber bull. I don't see it. All right, now, of course, I could be proven wrong, obviously, right? So, but if this So right now, I just sit here, I wait for the correction. I wait for that. Again, look at that setup there. So if this is 1, 2, and if, and it's really hard to call it because of that, right? So it would have been a tick shorter. If that's 1, 2, 3, and this is the 4, well, I've got a great potential setup here because I can put, now granted, we could have a diagonal here, so it's not like it invalidates the bull count, but that's a reasonable spot to be looking for, maybe to rethink it. So if we go 1, 2, and if this is the 3, and we're going to go A, B, C into the 4, well, we're looking for it between the 23 and the 38. That's our high probability zone. So let's just think about, shit, come here. Where would that put us? So if this is, so first problem is we just get a straight free fall into this pivot here. So shit, well, let's see if I go to a 30-minute, do we get any subdivision there? It almost looks, boy, that's brutal, right? So it's just straight down. So right until proven otherwise, I think you've got to trade it like this. You've got to go from here that we've gone A, B, C into that pivot. Let's go down here. Right, so until this gets invalidated here, and we could do it. So if we push up here to get further, and it ends up looking like a motive wave. So yeah, no, of course we could. If this is the 3, we could have a triangle here. So it doesn't. It's not a. Well, let's look at it. So we could have something like that going in. Not getting much help down there. Let's just bring it up. So could we have something along those lines? So A, well, the B would be falling short already. A, B, C, D, E. That would imply that the 4 is in. But you're not, so you're not, there's not good, the symmetry is a little shaky here. So you're getting underthrow, underthrow, underthrow. But it's possible, right? So if this is going to stay, so let's draw it up here. So that would stay. So maybe. So we could do it this way. So we go A, B, I don't love the C, D, then we'd be down here for the E. Yeah, I don't love it, right? So even if you, see, I don't, so that's kind of skewing it here. So if this is A, B, yeah, even if we try and do it this way, work it backwards here, just so the B is a little bit of a problem here. You'd rather, so you can go A, B, C. That's a little skinny there, but it's a contender, right? So we're here, we're right at the 23, so we've come down, pushed the 38. It's a little squirrely though. I wouldn't. Yeah, so I'm going to like it better down here because this is just not great here. So look how long the B is relative to the C. Can't say that I love it. I'm trying to think if there's another way to count this. A, B, C, A, B, C. We could maybe do it, just pull the whole thing over. So we'd be doing it this way. A, B, C. Maybe that's if we get up here and push down one more time, maybe something along those lines. At least we get a little bit better balance there between. So if the A is in and this is going to be B, then we've got C, then we've got D, then we've got E. That could play. But either way, it's not. You wouldn't script it that way, saying, "Oh, let me find a triangle that I'm really excited about." Could it play? Yeah, it could. It definitely could. So I say, I kind of hurry up and wait here. I love it down here. I'm a little uneasy with it where we are right now, sitting up here without some, I just want a little more. I'm not long here. So for me to, I just would prefer. So part of what's influencing here is the potential for this to, now granted, we are getting some market acceptance here. So note here, I have this on visible range. right? So everything that we can see, we're getting a little bit here, but you know, there's a potential just for it to just free fall here. If it really starts to come down, there's just no structure, there's no acceptance there until you get to this 1. So I prefer this here, Vegas wave here. I'm gonna like this better if we come down here, and I'd be using this as a stop. So I think I prefer it right here, right? So stop underneath the pivot of the 1, right? Not that we wouldn't invalidate. It's just it's gonna be a, well, let's just look here if we've got anything. It looks like that's already, well, we've gone 786, so you could probably zero in on it a little bit here, say, well, if we're going to get that algo target, this would put us, so you could fatten this up here. Right here would be your zone, looking for this to resolve out of here. All right, so if this triangle is going to break down, and it's going to end up being more of an ABC, and we're going to come down to this level, I like that because the stop can be close enough. So you're a buyer here at, we'll call it 260, a stop at 227 and a change. You know, 30 bucks there. So yeah, so until this gets a little more resolved, I'm a little hesitant to throw that triangle on there. I need to see more here, how this comes out. How do we come out of that here? And again, I'm being definitely conscious of what's happening over here. There's just this thing, if it starts to go, there's no place for it to fall or to find any support until we get to here, right? I mean, there's just even on the way down, right? So it's the same thing, or it's just a free fall down, you know, it's a straight rip up. There's just no support here until we get to this pivot. So I'd be cautious here on the buy side, right? So I would not be a buyer here myself, right? Now, shit, this could... Well, let's say you miss it, right? So if the 4 ends up being in somewhere, this triangle resolves and this thing is going to zip up here, which certainly could happen. If it gets up there and we do that, we get that algo target, well, that's not the... Well, so already look at the length of the 2 to the 4. So you see why I'm a little reluctant to call that 4 in just yet. I like it much better here. But even if we do get that, maybe it takes a little longer. Well, all we're doing is just setting up the retrace. So let's just use that. Okay, so if now I do not have this pivot, I do not have this pivot. Just trying to get some context as to where we are. Well, if we're going to go up here and we're going to finish that, and this is going to be off of the low, we're going to get our completed motive wave, right? In this case, assuming we hold above this pivot, we're going to get an impulse as a candidate for a 1. Well, so here, this is probably confusing. So let's take that off. So if you're looking to be a buyer from the 4 into the 5, this looks like a reasonable spot to be a buyer. Well, so you're going to catch that, right? There's nothing wrong with that. The shit, that's from 260 to call it 410. That's a nice little pop. But all that's doing is setting up the bigger ABC. And that's the one that really is your money wave. So I'm not saying don't take that. The more conservative approach would be allow this to resolve. And let's see if we can get a 4 a little bit closer down here and see if we can play off of the algo play there. 4 to the 5, but understand, so if you were to buy it here, now think where that's going to come, where that, again, no one knows, right? But if we were going to come back down here right to the 50, we've just given back all of that profit if you don't take profit there. Now, you don't have to take full profit there, but that's certainly, again, if we get that, emphasis if, that's a reasonable place to be looking to put some in your pocket, knowing that the probability here is that there's going to be a retrace because people that catch that will want to take some profit. So if that comes down to retraces, well, you're right back to the entry price. So again, I don't know what happens here, but you're not, if you're want to be a little more conservative here because you're still unclear is the low in across crypto, you know, you could do something like that. Right, so if you're aggressive, trade the 4 to the 5. Hell, right? No reason not to. Reasonable risk reward. If you want to be a little more conservative, wait, see if we get a pivot up here. Look for the 2. Then you're just a buyer down here. It's damn near the same place. Right, a little fatter on the stop, but you're not missing any of the potential huge upside because this would suggest we're coming right back to the mid 2s. Right, to catch the wave 2 into the wave 3. That's the big one you want. So if this plays that way, boy, that's juicy, right? Because you'd have more confidence here because you will have seen this now complete its impulse. you'd be waiting for the 2. All right, guys, that's I think that gives us everything we need there. All right, so be watching here very, very carefully here. Okay, guys, back to you later.